Speaking moistly. Speaking moistly. Keep 2 meters apart. Speaking moistly. Hello. Speaking.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Speaking Moistly. Greg and I were able to figure out a little bit of time to record today. And so, Greg, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm drinking some coffee. Sunlight's pouring in. Beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. They were saying that it was supposed to rain. They were saying it was supposed to rain, and so I was getting my kids to go out and play early this morning. But it's turned into a beautiful day. I hope maybe the rain's supposed to be later in Ontario, but that's all right. Oh well, get your walks in while you can.
Yeah, lots to enjoy outside of your phone screen.
Indeed.
So go get it.
Yesterday evening, I guess, I saw a big Facebook argument about on Facebook, but it was somebody taking screenshots on their phone and uploaded it to Twitter because I just can't do Facebook. And They were talking about how busy the skate park was in Guelph and how they should probably think about closing that. And I was like, there's nothing for kids to do. There's no malls. There's no activities. You can't go paintballing. You can't go do fun kid things that you might want to do. And these people, these Karens on this Guelph page are like, we should have a mail-in campaign to tell Cam Guthrie to close down the skate park because he could do that, and if he doesn't, we'll get the medical officer health. And I was like, oh my god, you Karens need to stop. You need to leave the kids alone, man. Let them skateboard.
It's more the backwards inversion of reality, where it used to be like, okay, kids, get outside, go get some fresh air, and now it's like, don't go outside. Don't go anywhere. Don't get any exercise. Stay inside and play video games because it's the only safe thing to do.
Yeah, safety. In exchange for living life, you get to be safe. Ooh, I don't know. Okay, here is yesterday. Madame Freeland. Can you call her Madame Freeland? That's a little formal. Made some news by making a statement, and I'll play it in just a second. But first, I want to read this tweet that was released on March 30th. So this is 2 weeks ago, but the statements made by Ms. Freeland were over the weekend. But the quote from Klaus Schwab is, "The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world." Okay, so that's a little, okay. It's a pandemic. Let's not get carried away. We don't need to reset the whole world here, Klaus. However, our deputy prime minister this past weekend, I'll play that little 11-second video, said this. Here we go.
I really believe COVID has created a window of political opportunity and maybe an epiphany.
Maybe an epiphany. What do you think? A window of political opportunity, says Ms. Freeland. A rare opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world, says Klaus Schwab. Are they on the same team? What do you think, Craig?
I hate this stuff. I hate seeing this stuff. This is something similar that Trudeau was basically saying. He was caught saying, and this is an opportunity for a reset thanks to coronavirus. So they're speaking the same language. They're saying the same stuff. And the reason I find this stuff so frustrating is that for anyone who's looked into, UN 2030 and the Great Reset, this is really disturbing stuff. This is really kind of wow, they're really trying to kind of push control of every aspect of our lives and push UBI and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when you show this to a normie, they're just kind of like, oh well, it flies under the radar somehow. Well, for normies.
Yeah, well, I mean, for a lot of people, even there was Justin Trudeau said he admired China's basic dictatorship, right? And that was before he was enthusiastically reelected, right? People were like, "Yay, let's get Justin Trudeau.
Yeah,
we can have him again. Yay, he liked China's dictatorship."
I mean, after the blackface thing, if you can recover from that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's clearly the concern. That's Stephen Harper's fault. Really, I mean.
Yeah, he applied the black shoe polish. That's right.
Indeed. Harper's just like that. But it is very concerning to see the Great Reset language so brazenly kind of, used, just bandying about oh yeah, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to maybe show how great at organizing a political response Canada is, except that they squandered that opportunity because the response has been completely terrible. So
Yeah, it's it's very similar to a lot of terminology that globalists use. It's very ominous. It's very unspecific. You know, it's like it reminds me of green energy. That they just keep talking about green energy, green jobs.
it is.
And for anyone who's done the research on the topic, it's like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Where, like, do you mean shoveling, like in Alberta, shoveling off a bunch of like solar panels? Like, is that what the green job's going to be? Like seriously, what is the actual job?
But the minimum wage is going to be $20. So shoveling the snow off the solar panel is going to be profitable. No.
Yeah.
No, and it's funny because the green jobs that I've said this too on my show, the green jobs that they promise, go. Like, nobody's stopping you. Set one up in Newfoundland, set one up in Saskatchewan, right? If you can just set up in Alberta anywhere without oil, set it up. Nobody's stopping you, go. But you don't need to wind down the fossil fuel industry in order to start your green revolution, right? Like, you can just start anytime. Yeah. But
exactly.
Instead, they say, you know what we've got to do? We've got to get all that fossil fuel money into the green money, and then when that runs out, we'll change
to create green jobs. We need to destroy our oil and gas industry.
Yes, and buy all of the oil from Saudi Arabia.
And like we're saying here, though, like all these like globalist plans, the Great Reset. It's like when you look into this stuff, it's so maddening because it's like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
You know, it's for anyone who cares about the topics that they're ominously referring to. It's just totally maddening. And it all sounds very ominous. Before we turned the camera on, we were talking about how it seems like a James Bond villain, this Klaus Schwab guy with a thick German accent. This would be good for the young children.
I haven't watched too many speeches by him. The thing I want to talk about, like I've seen him talk once or twice, but I haven't watched too many speeches by him. The thing I wanted to talk about was how unspecific you were saying. Like, it's unspecific, and that's true of our public health response as well. We've got like we're going to flatten the curve for another 28 days because our cases are up. And everybody's like, well, hold on. What does that even mean? Like, cases up. You said we're going to, we're protecting our ICUs, but our ICUs aren't at 80 or just at 80%. So it seems very strange. And also, it seems like a very big departure from Canadian traditional society to have the freedom of a regular person tied to the ICU status, regardless of the illnesses going around in the community, right? Like, it seems like this is a huge difference from history. We've never done anything like that.
Yeah, it's all, worst of all, this is all kind of becoming normalized, sort of. Oh well, can I go outside today? What is the ICU capacity?
Yeah,
It's like, wow. And I mean, we've talked about this many times on the show before, but over the past year, it seems like confusing the public and giving them unspecific instructions that change every 2 weeks is like the new thing, and it's like normal to just be confused. And it's normal to like hear things that don't make any sense from our leaders. It's like, this isn't normal. This should not be normal. You should not accept this. Yeah. You should be holding these people accountable. You should be pissed. Yeah. You should be pissed off that we're accepting this terrible leadership and terrible I honestly asked the question, like, where's the positives? Where's the actual positive leadership that we've seen? The actual times where they've been proactive in a good way.
No, it doesn't seem, that's not part of it. It would be interesting to go around with like my phone, maybe a camera, and ask people what the current lockdown rules are and what they mean to them, just to see if
that'd be great.
Do you know like what they are? Great. Like, and not in a judging way, not in a like gotcha, like you're not following the rules, but like just
you would get answers all over the place. I think that would be perfect.
It would be interesting. It would be interesting to see just what people like out in the at the grocery store, and then out at like the park, out at the. I don't know. Like, if you go, are malls still open? I don't know if malls are still open.
We're just interviewing people to make sure that the current
Yeah.
the current lockdown
No,
rules.
not make sure, because that implies that we're trying to enforce something, right? But I'm just interested in if you even know what the current rules are,
Okay.
and what were the last set of rules, like the last set of rules that you remember being different than what's currently happening.
It could be funny though if you dressed up in a vest and you made it
Oh my
like it was
gosh,
like this
no.
official compliance thing.
People would
Because
lose it.
these days people are just like, oh, you're a COVID bylaw officer because you have a vest on.
Oh yeah, it
It's
doesn't
like
matter.
yes,
There was-
now give me your groceries. Give me your milk. Give me that.
That's called stealing things. You can't.
No, I'm
There
kidding.
was a guy. There was a guy in Toronto who had a lint roller, and he was standing in front of like a store, and he was telling, and I think he was a
I
homeless.
saw that.
He was a homeless person.
I
He was
saw
telling
that
people
one.
to do that, and he was lint rolling their arms, and then he let them go in.
That was
And I
hilarious.
was like,
yeah.
yeah, okay, that's either parody, like maybe people are
Yeah.
parodying, or
Dad, to the context, he had a vest on.
He did have a
and
vest on.
he set up a camera outside like a Costco or a grocery store, and he just kind of told people coming in like, hey, like go like this, and then and every single person was like, oh, I guess I'm getting fucked with now. Like, okay. People are just totally like whatever.
Our world has just become a bad just for laughs sketch. Like the whole world. And it's like you're uncomfortable and in an airplane and you're just waiting to land and you're watching and it's just like, oh.
I am stealing that for sure.
All right, getting into China. Let's talk about China. Lori Goldstein says, we are lost. Trudeau government threatens Halifax Security Forum over proposed Taiwan award. It wants to honor President Tsai Ing-wen, Taiwan's first female prime minister and a global advocate for democracy. But Canada fears angering China's dictators. And also, Canada's dictators, it doesn't really like democracy in Canada, the dictators here. They don't like that too much. Something that rhymes with mugmord and mustin mudo. They don't like hearing that democracy should be celebrated, right? So that's wild, right? Like I think that's a wild situation.
It is a wild situation. This is another thing that just completely angers me because like I'll try to show this to a normie person and they just won't get it. They'll just say, "Oh well, I mean," and even the people who are part of like Trudeau's team will say, "Well, international relations is very complicated. It's very complex."
That's
the
argument.
And it's like bending over backwards for Chinese dictators. Like that's just part of business. Like. I understand that there might be allegiances one way or another, but it's like if you're a Canadian citizen who's voting for somebody, deciding who you want to put your faith in, who's going to represent your country, it's like this is the stuff that needs to be on blast, underlined, in bold, in everyone's face. Because, I mean, there's a particular country that seems to be, I don't know, really affecting everyone's way of life right now in a negative way.
Well, I don't know.
Which country is it?
Tap dancing there. We're tap dancing. It is a situation where the choices that Canada is making to prevent just an award, right? A Halifax Security Forum. How big a deal is that? Like really, in the grand scheme of things, it's a very strange thing to have the Trudeau government intervene in a security forum award.
And I mean that's a great point because it's like it is just an award. Wow. So how much of a vice grip do they have around our nutsack?
Yeah.
The Liberal Party nutsack that they're like they want to make sure that they don't even celebrate or mention them in an award. Yeah. And it's like, bro, it's just an award. And it's like, yeah, but we have complete control over every single way that you think. We're going to make sure that you don't even praise the people that are opposed to us. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's totally insane.
Yeah.
I saw something. I saw this is sort of on a sort of a tangent, but Joe Rogan, his podcast had a bunch of episodes removed.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I saw somebody making the argument that this is like, this is like Chinese style censorship just happening in the US now.
Yeah.
Like this type of stuff. This isn't freedom of speech. This isn't like something that should be happening in America.
Yeah.
But once again, the custom of the Red Dragon country are now coming over to North America and no one seems to care.
I think that it's more, I think it's less the China and more the communism that I have a problem with. Right? Like I understand China is synonymous with CCP. But it's less China and more CCP problematic. I don't have a problem with China. I have a problem with the communists that run it. And like I understand it's hard to make the distinction, and I'm not trying to muddy the waters. I fear I am, but I'm not trying to. But
yeah, that's a hard one. That's a hard one because communism is a word that is very loaded for some people, but not for others. And some people say, oh, although they call themselves the Chinese Communist Party, they're not actually communists and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I personally actually like to use the China word because it paints a lot of pictures of what's going on in that country in terms of like what their political class is capable of. Hong Kong comes to mind.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, so that's kind of why I think that should kind of be the language or like the target of what people should be talking about. I mean, think about it. They wanted to completely prevent the country's name being associated with this virus that came from that country. Yep. Like it's, they're trying to kill the language. They're doing the censorship right there.
Yeah. Isn't Ebola a river in like near where the first outbreak of Ebola happened?
It's obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
So, yeah. But regardless, okay, let's move on to, and there's a lot to talk about with regards to China and the political censorship and the censorship of free speech. We could talk about Gallibo talking about website kill switch. There's the Rebel being censored off YouTube. There's all sorts of stuff to talk about within.
They didn't get censored though. They just got demonetized, right?
No, I heard they're totally banned off the. Well, I heard people in my comments. I know I'll have to check, but
no way.
I'll have to. I'm half tempted to pause it and double check. You know what? We're not going to double check right now, but I've heard that, yes, demonetization for sure. And it sounded like from the comments in my comment feed today that they had been removed from YouTube, but I don't know if that's totally true.
No. They're here.
Are they there? Okay,
yeah, they're here.
All right, wonderful. Good news. They're not removed from YouTube, but they're demonetized, and which is
a big deal.
Which is still censorship.
That's an attack on your business right there.
Yeah.
I mean, relying on YouTube for monetization isn't wise, but like still, like that probably gives them a good amount of annual income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving into our last story. I was at my brother's house on Friday because I go and play hockey, pretend hockey with the remote or with the Xbox, right? And NHL, yeah, that's what you do. And my brother said, "Have you heard about the hotspot neighborhood?" I was like, what hotspot neighborhood are you talking about? He's like, we are close to a hotspot neighborhood right now. I was like, oh, can you point to this hotspot neighborhood? Where is it? Where's the first house? I'm like, where is it? But this is insidious because I said, send me the link because there's something going on with this. I don't know what it is yet, but there's something going on with this. And I found out the next day, the Ontario Ministry of Health says if you're 50 plus and live in the Wellington Dufferin Public Health hotspot community, with this postal code, you can book your COVID-19 vaccine online. They're trying to create demand. This is part of the demand creation that the government is using to drive people wanting to go out and improve vaccine uptake by saying, hey, you live in the neighborhood and you're 50 plus, go get your vaccine, right? Like, I think that's so insidious and evil.
So we don't know that officially. That's just kind of you speculating.
Yeah.
But I tend to agree with that. I feel like a lot of the narrative around vaccines has always been trying to entice people. And we don't have it up here now, but if you go to like the Government of Canada website, it basically has a program to pay influencers to give us creative ideas to help with vaccine compliance. So like they're spending money on people to convince you to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And no, I think you're absolutely right. This is something that my friends and family have been like, oh, like, did you check if you're in a hotspot? Like, did you check? And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And I'm actually in a hotspot, and people are like, well, you're the chosen one. You've been chosen.
That's it.
Oh my God,
you've
been one of the chosen people to get the vaccine.
Yeah. Speaking of the pressure campaign, though, CP24 has How to Talk to Vaccine Hesitant Friends. Experts offer tips on addressing concerns. So, when COVID comes up and you're asking your friends if they've complied with the government orders and stuff, wink. How to talk to
your vaccine hesitant friends.
Yeah.
You mean friends who do their own research,
right? But I think it's super funny. This is
friends who do any amount of research.
I think if you go back to 2019 and and put in a parenting magazine, MMR hesitant moms, how to talk to your measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine hesitant friends. That would go over like a lead balloon. People would be knocking on the door of the parenting magazine, and they'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing, you crazy people?" And now it's like, hey, everybody's got to get this thing. So make sure that your friends know that the government wants them to have this vaccine. And by the way, you live in a hotspot neighborhood.
It's more extreme doublespeak, right?
Yeah.
Because it's coming from this government, this administration that's like, don't be divisive, don't exclude people, and now it's like, who are the unvaccinated people? Who are the people not getting vaccinated? There's two types of people: those who are getting vaccinated and those who are refusing. Who are the non-compliant, anti-maskers?
It's not even like those with legitimate concerns. It's like those who are refusing. It's like you are evil.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Yeah.
Vaccine hesitant friends. It's not questioning.
Yeah.
It's not like some people who are like skeptical.
Yeah.
And it's like anybody who has their head screwed on straight is going to be a little bit skeptical. Most of the people getting it are still skeptical. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
So many people that are getting it
skeptical. I'm glad
are like, they're not even confident in it, and they're succumbing to peer pressure. I'm not going to mention who, but I have a person in my life who I don't even know that well, who's like follows me on social media. They see I'm like really involved in politics, and they reached out to me privately, and they were like, "Yeah, like I got the first dose of the AstraZeneca, and like I had an adverse reaction, and like I really don't want to get the second one, but like I'm probably am because of the peer pressure."
Crazy.
And it's like this is brutal. Like the situation that people are in are brutal.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like. I just want to emphasize, even the people getting it, they're not even confident in it, and it's like that's something really sick about that. That
it's being
I don't know that
pushed like that,
that people are like not on people en masse are being forced to do something that they don't want to do, and they're kind of just going along with it anyway, even though they don't agree with it. Then again, I guess we have the Liberal Party in charge. I was
going to say, actions speak louder than words, man. You can not agree with something, but if you do it, you agree with it, right? Like that's just kind of how the world works, unfortunately.
I guess it's just disturbing how there's like the conscious reflection of like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to fit in.
It's not just fitting in, though. It's more than that. They're threatening employment and all sorts of other coercive stuff, and it violates the Nuremberg Code. I'm certainly not saying that there's room for coercive actions with regards to personal medical choices. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if somebody says, "I don't agree with this," and then they roll up their sleeve, they're saying one thing and behaving in another way, and that's a whole different topic. So I have to go because I have to go pick up. I have to do a play date, so we're going to go do a play date. But where can people find you, Greg? Any final words?
I was going to go off more about vaccines and how you can still spread it asymptomatically once you get the vaccine. I don't know. I just explain to people the more I do research on it, the less confidence I have in this stuff. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't feel ashamed for making your own decision because it is your decision. Mm-hmm. And if you are being forced by your employer, you should check what your rights are in that situation, because I'm pretty sure you can make the argument that it is unconstitutional.
But they changed the Employee Standards Act to allow employers to demand people have the vaccine, and if they don't have the vaccine, they don't qualify for CERB because they're refusing an unreasonable order or a reasonable order. Check.
Really?
Oh, I wish I was lying. Mm-hmm. For real.
See, this guy knows his stuff. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe to Canada Poly. I'm at Greg Wycliffe on YouTube. You can check me out on Twitter and TikTok at GWGDDUB. Nice. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Always, man. Always. I hope that we're able to find time next week as well. All right, and I do have to go, but you can find me at CanadaPoly.com, CanadaReport.co, SpeakingMoistly.co. This episode will be up shortly, and yeah, thanks for joining us. It's been always a great conversation, Greg. I enjoy it. And here's the Prime Minister to play us out.
Moistly. Keep 2 meters apart. Speaking moistly.
What a terrible image.